Okay, so today we're doing a deep dive into the Mammoth Lakes real estate market as of right now, March 2025. And we've got this like really in-depth report
Yeah.
all about like, hyper-focused on this location, this moment in time. So, the goal here is to like really try to get a grasp of what's happening right now in Mammoth Lakes real estate. Give our listeners a clear picture of the current dynamics. So we're going to be looking at things like, is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? What's the inventory like? We're going to be, breaking down trends for condos versus single-family homes.
Right.
Looking at, pricing trends, days on market, interest rates, insurance, all that good stuff.
Yeah. A lot of factors at play.
Yeah, so let's jump right in. Okay, so the report is telling us that Mammoth Lakes has like maintained this balanced market through the latter half of 2024 and into early 2025 with about 4 months of inventory. So, for our listeners who maybe aren't like real estate experts, what does that mean? Like, what does a balanced market actually signify?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a balanced market really means that, we're looking at about 4 to 6 months of inventory on the market. So not too much where, properties are sitting and languishing, but also not so little inventory that there's bidding wars and, things are getting really crazy for buyers.
Right.
So this means we see pretty fair negotiations between buyers and sellers, and prices tend to stay pretty stable.
Okay, so it's not like heavily tilted towards sellers or buyers. It's,
more or less level playing field.
Yeah. Okay, so the report also mentions some like ups and downs in inventory levels over the past year. Like there was, it mentions a spike in like mid 2024.
Okay.
A dip in the fall. And then went back up again in January 25.
Yeah.
And then dipped again in February. And, this is looking at both condos and single-family homes together.
Right.
What do you think might be driving these fluctuations?
Well, it's probably a couple things. So, it's definitely seasonal trends. People tend to list their homes when the weather is nice. Mammoth's beautiful in the summer.
Right.
And then as it gets to be fall and winter, people aren't thinking about, putting their houses on the market so much.
Right.
But also probably some economic factors.
Okay.
People may be waiting to see what happens with interest rates or, just kind of holding off.
Sure.
So you see these kind of like shorter term movements all the time in real estate. It's pretty normal.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so let's get into the condo market.
Okay.
Specifically. So data shows that condo sales were actually up slightly in 2024 compared to 2023.
Okay.
But the median price actually dipped a little bit.
Interesting.
So that seems kind of like a interesting combination.
Yeah, so we had 243 condo units sold in 2024, which comes out to about, just over 20 sales per month, which is up a little bit from the 231 sold in 2023. But like you said, the median price did soften about 4.5%, landing at $725,000 in 2024, compared to $759,000 in 2023. So that could be a couple things. Maybe the mix of condos being sold is changing.
Okay.
Or maybe buyers are just a little more price sensitive in that segment. It's hard to say for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so what about more recent numbers?
Yeah.
For early 2025?
Yeah.
What are those telling us about the condo market?
Okay, so through February 2025, we have 37 condo sales, averaging about 18.5 per month.
Okay.
And if you break that down, 26 of those were resales, and 11 were new construction. And here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The median price for all 37 sales was a lot higher, at $949,500.
Wow.
But when we just look at resales, the median price was $732,500. While new construction had a way higher median price at $2,195,000.
Wow.
So that big difference is really skewing the overall median.
Right. Okay.
So, it's not just a number. It's telling us that there might be this new luxury condo market emerging in Mammoth Lakes.
Interesting.
Maybe it's new developments with, fancier amenities or better locations. But it looks like there's a different kind of buyer coming into the market now compared to those looking at like the resale condos.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's a huge distinction. So, okay, the higher median price overall is basically because of these new, more expensive developments.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, so how quickly are condos selling? What's the pace like?
Okay, so that's another important thing to look at. So the average time condos spent on the market went up to 151 days. which is quite a jump from the 72 days we saw in 2024.
Right?
But again, like the report points out, those new construction sales are really affecting that average.
Right.
If you just look at resales, the median time was 95 days,
Mm-hmm.
while for new construction, it was a lot longer at 364 days.
Wow.
So definitely different things happening in the market for existing versus brand new condos.
Yeah. Sounds like buyers are taking a bit more time to consider those higher priced, new construction units.
Right.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so what about the current inventory for condos? What does that look like right now?
Okay, so as of March 1st, 2025, there were 60 active condo listings,
Okay.
which is actually down just a little from 61 the month before.
Okay.
And then there's 31 pending sales, down from 35.
Okay.
And again, of those pending sales, 8 of them are new construction.
Okay.
So again, showing that these newer, often more high-end units are, in the pipeline.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about the single-family home market.
Sure.
So the report is showing us that sales activity actually decreased in 2024,
Mm-hmm.
but the median price increased, which is kind of the opposite of what we saw with condos.
Yeah, exactly. So in 2024, 58 single-family homes were sold, averaging about 4.8 per month.
Okay.
That's a 12% decrease from the 66 sold in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
But even with fewer sales, the median price went up to $1,300,000, which is a 2.4% increase from $1,270,000 the year before. So it could be that while fewer homes sold, the ones that did were more desirable, or just represented like the higher end of the market.
Right. Okay, so early 2025 data for single-family homes. What does that look like?
Okay, so through February 2025, only 7 single-family homes were sold,
Okay.
averaging 3.5 per month.
Okay, so down to 3.5 sales a month for single-family homes. Is that like a huge slowdown compared to what we've seen historically in Mammoth Lakes, or is that just your normal seasonal variation?
Well, it definitely seems slower than last year.
Okay.
The median price for these 7 sales was $1,350,000. So prices are still going up, but we have to remember, it's a really small sample size.
Right, yeah. Okay, and the report also mentions that the average days on market for single-family homes is also increasing. So, homes are sitting on the market longer.
Mhm.
Do you think that current interest rates could be playing a part in that? Like, are buyers just taking more time to make decisions? Or maybe facing more affordability challenges?
Yeah, I think interest rates are definitely a factor. So in 2024, homes took an average of 73 days to sell, which is up from 57 days in 2023. So it does look like buyers are being a little more careful.
Okay.
Interestingly, the median days on market through February 2025 was even higher at 168 days.
Wow.
But again, small sample size.
Right.
But it could be that sellers are sticking to their asking prices and buyers are taking their time, maybe struggling a bit with what they can afford.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and what about inventory for single-family homes? How's that looking right now?
As of March 1st, 2025, there were only 16 active listings,
Okay.
down from 21 the month before. So that means there's not a lot of single-family homes on the market right now. And there's 9 pending sales, 8 resales, and only 1 new construction.
Okay, so across the board, it sounds like we're seeing pretty balanced inventory levels, right? For both condos and single-family homes.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. But there's some, obviously pretty big differences in sales activity, pricing, how long properties are staying on the market. All right. So I think now's a good time to talk about interest rates.
Right.
Because, that's obviously a big factor that's influencing real estate right now.
Huge.
So what is the report telling us about current interest rates?
Okay, so as of February 4th, 2025, the average conforming rate for a 30-year fixed mortgage was 6.72%.
Okay.
And the jumbo mortgage rate was a bit higher at 6.90%.
Okay.
So just as a reminder, the conforming rate is for mortgages up to a certain limit, and jumbo loans are for larger amounts.
Right.
These are the basic rates that most lenders use, and these numbers are averages, so they don't include individual factors like credit score or down payment.
Right, yeah. Okay, and what about the forecast? Like, what are they predicting interest rates will do for the rest of 2025?
Okay, so the forecast in the report says that mortgage rates should stay about the same in early 2025.
Okay.
And then they might go down to around 6% later in the year if inflation eases up.
Okay, so a potential drop to around 6% later this year, that could definitely have an impact.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Now, the report also mentions some creative financing options. So what are those exactly? And how do they work?
So these are ways to help both buyers and sellers deal with the current interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
So one is temporary rate buy-downs, like the 3-2-1 or 2-1.
Okay.
This is where the buyer, or sometimes the seller as a concession, pays a fee up front to lower the interest rate for a certain time at the beginning of the loan.
Okay, so like with a 3-2-1 buy down, the buyer's interest rate is reduced for the first 3 years.
Yep.
So 3% in year 1, 2% in year 2, 1% in year 3.
Exactly.
And then it goes back to the original rate.
Yep.
And who usually pays for that? Is it usually the buyer or the seller?
It can be either. It kind of depends on the situation.
Okay.
Another option is seller concessions.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the seller agrees to help pay the buyer's closing costs.
Okay.
So that can free up some money for the buyer to use for a buy down or, other expenses.
Right.
And then some lenders might have programs where they cover some of the refinancing costs if interest rates go down later on.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it easier for homeowners to lower their monthly payments in the future.
Right.
So these are all tools that can make buying a home a little easier or make a property more attractive to buyers.
Right.
Just give people some options.
Yeah, those sound like some really helpful strategies to keep in mind right now.
For sure.
Okay, so another really important factor, especially here in California, is homeowners insurance.
Big time.
So what's the current situation like in Mammoth Lakes, according to the report?
So the report says that the homeowners insurance market in California is still really tough, mostly because of the wildfire risk, which keeps increasing.
Right.
So insurance companies are raising premiums, they're being a lot more picky about who they'll insure, and they're even making fewer policies available in areas that they think are risky.
Mm-hmm.
We've even seen some big insurance companies stop offering new policies completely in some areas.
Wow.
So it's really important for both people thinking about buying and people who already own homes in Mammoth Lakes to start looking into their insurance options really early on.
Right. Yeah. Don't wait till the last minute on that.
Exactly.
Okay. So it's definitely not something to overlook. Does the report mention any potential solutions or alternative options for insurance?
Yeah, it does mention that you might still be able to find affordable coverage through smaller insurance companies.
Okay.
And also through the California Fair Plan, which is kind of a last resort option backed by the state for people who can't get insurance the regular way.
Right. Okay.
So the advice is to look for an updated list of these alternative providers because insurance costs can really make a difference in whether you can afford to own a home. So it's worth doing your research.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's kind of bring all this together. What is the overall outlook for pricing in the Mammoth Lakes real estate market?
Okay, so the report says that Mammoth Lakes is kind of a unique market because there's not a lot of turnover.
Okay.
Meaning people don't sell their homes very often.
Right.
And that's usually because a lot of homeowners have either paid off their mortgages or they have really low interest rates from a while back.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't really want to sell unless they absolutely have to.
Yeah, makes sense.
As of February 2025, we've got a balanced market with about 5 months of inventory for single-family homes and 4 months for condos.
Okay.
So that's stable, and in some cases, declining inventory really supports a balanced market, where neither buyers nor sellers have a big advantage when it comes to negotiating prices.
Okay, so this continued balance, that seems like that's really the key characteristic of the current market.
Yeah, I think so. The report says that what happens with prices in the future really depends on interest rates and the overall economy. So if interest rates go down later in 2025, like some people are predicting, then we might see more sellers listing their properties.
Right.
Which could increase the supply.
Right, okay.
But until then, we're probably looking at stable or maybe slowly rising prices, especially in the areas of Mammoth Lakes that are really popular.
Got it. Okay, so for anyone who's thinking about getting into the Mammoth Lakes real estate market right now, it sounds like it's a balanced market.
Yeah.
But, with some really important nuances.
Absolutely.
Like we talked about, different trends for condos and single-family homes. Interest rates are obviously a big factor. And then you got the whole homeowners insurance situation in California.
Right.
So it's definitely a dynamic situation. You really got to stay informed.
Yeah, that's a good summary. It's a market where understanding the specifics is more important than ever. Like what type of property are you looking at? What financing options are available? What's going on with insurance? You really have to do your homework.
Absolutely. Okay, so to wrap up our deep dive, the Mammoth Lakes real estate market, as of March 2025, is looking pretty balanced overall. But with those interesting and distinct trends for condos and single-family homes, And of course, interest rates and the tricky California homeowners insurance market are huge factors to consider. It's a market that's always changing, and staying informed is absolutely key for anyone who wants to navigate it successfully.
I totally agree. And this brings up a good question for our listeners.
Okay.
So, thinking about this balanced market and the possibility of interest rates changing as we go through the rest of 2025, what do you think the best strategies would be for buyers and sellers in Mammoth Lakes for the rest of the year? That's something to think about as you consider your next move.
Yeah, great question. Really good food for thought. All right, well, that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks.
We'll see you next time.